Hey guys, Richard here, and in the next 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to talk about the topic burnout. Why are you burnt out? Good question, huh? All right, so we're going to understand what is going on here and really understand the underlying cause of burnout. And also, at the end of this video, I'm going to give you some practical tips which you can use to start improving the amount of burnout episodes that you're having and just to help you calm down and relax in your natural self. So, that's what we're going to be talking about here. All right, let's crack into it. So, what exactly am I talking about when I mention burnout? Well, burnouts have certain signs and symptoms. So, if you're burnt out, I definitely know you know the kind of feelings you do feel, right? So, for example, that means emotional exhaustion. Secondly, you're just disengaged. Whatever activity that you're doing at the moment, you're disengaged with it. And thirdly, you're just depleted and you don't have energy to be able to, go after all the things that you want to do with your life. And fourthly, also is that you're physically and also cognitively used up. You feel like all your energy has been drained out. You need a nice holiday somewhere in the Canaries or some island where you can just chill, right? That'd be nice, right? I think every one of us has felt that kind of feeling. But there are a few things we need to know about burnout still here. Because for me personally, I had a lot of episodes where I felt burnt out, and I would have attributed those as just the fact that I was working too hard, or maybe I was overworking myself, or I was trying to do too much. So those were my reasons why I was burnt out, and I felt like I definitely needed a break out of this whole shenanigan and go somewhere where I can just chill and just take a break, right? Wouldn't that be lovely? But although that might seem like that is the problem, actually that is not the problem, or that's not the cause of burnout, your burnout. That's not the cause of it. Because I can tell you that if we bring you or we take you to the holiday that you desire right now, and you spend 2 or 3 weeks and come back, what's going to happen is that you're going to actually repeat the same thing, and your life is just going to be this constant repetition of burnout and burnout. So definitely that's not the root cause of it. So what is the root cause of it? What is the underlying cause of burnout, and what do we need to understand about burnout here? So although an average person would think that burnout is as a result of working too hard, working excessively, those are not really the reason why you're burnt out. The real reason why you're burnt out is because of your psychological resistance that's happening in your mind, period. So, what do I mean by this? Well, if we take two stories here and we say we have two people who, for example, they don't enjoy their jobs, right? They work in a corporate job or whatever. They work there, and we have person A and person B. So person A wakes up in the morning, and although he doesn't like the job, he kind of thinks about his life and go like, okay, well, this is not the ideal job, but I'm actually working in progress to get something that I'm probably gonna enjoy more. Whereas person B here, he wakes up in the morning, and what he thinks is that, or what he imagines is that he imagines all the awful things that's going to happen in his day, right? So these two people, they eventually go up to their corporate jobs, and what happens is that person B experiences more resistance because in his mind there's this constant negativity that's kind of following that person, right? And in the back of their mind, they are kind of running this analysis that's really taking up all their mental energy, right? So maybe person B enters the starts work at certain period, 9 a.m., whatever. What this person is going to do when he gets into the job is that he's going to be doing his job, but at the back of his mind, it's going to be running all this analysis, such as I'm not good enough, I don't think this job is for me, da 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 da, and then it's going to keep running all this analysis. So he finishes lunch break, he comes back from lunch break, and then he goes into his work, and then he runs the same analysis every single day. Right. And then maybe there are other events that happen in his life that really cause him to think negatively and also get him to think really not in a helpful way and not really serving him. Right. So we can see that if we look at this person B, what's happening here that on a Monday he does this, Tuesday he does this, Wednesday he does this, and at the end of the week, with this constant resistance running through his life, eventually it's gonna burn out, right? And maybe your body might give you allowance for this attitude or this sort of mindset for maybe 2 or 3 years, but your body's not going to take it indefinitely. At some point it's going to feel like he wants to collapse, and that's why you feel burnt out. Whereas if you look at person A in this scenario, what happens here is that his mindset's a little bit different, right? All the mental resistance that he could be facing is just channeling it in a different way here. He's using that mind that he has to really help himself rather than just feel like a victim in his life and then just go through all the negative resistance and all the things that cause him to want to feel stuck and burnt out in his life. So those are the two comparisons here. Also, I'm going to use a different contrast here. Let's say we have two people who actually like their work, right? This case, we all know that even if you do enjoy something, there are some days when you actually do not feel up for the task, right? But in those days, the more advanced person, which is person A, is going to wake up and feel like, oh, you know what, I feel this resistance, but I am actually going to take some action. Whereas if we have a very less experienced person who's just kind of not really aware of what's going on here, it's going to feel like, oh, well, I don't really need to bother. I'm already successful. I have a comfortable job and stuff like this, right? So the higher part of that person also knows that they should be taking action, but the lower person wants to stay comfortable. So this kind of tug of war that's happening here creates a lot of psychological resistance in that person, and this kind of, if it continues for a very long time, is going to create burnout. And this is where burnout comes from, right? So in order for you to reduce the amount of episodes of burnout in your life, you really need to start managing your mind and your mindset, most importantly your mindset towards the events that you have in your life, right? You have to manage those. Otherwise, you're going to be at a constant risk of running into burnout and just kind of wearing off your wheels when it's absolutely unnecessary, right? And I also want you guys to really buy into this idea that burnout is not as a result of working hard. Most people would think that if you work 60 to 70 hours a week, then you're going to be burnt out as a result of that. Actually, not really. You can't, you if you come at this with the wrong mindset, yes, you'll be burnt out. But actually, most people would work 70 to 80 hours a week and they still won't feel burnt out. And this is because they are managing their mind properly, right? They are managing it. And I want to make an argument here that people who actually work less, those are the people who are feeling burnt out because, emotionally they are not able to actually just get themselves to do it because they're not managing their mind, and that resistance is too much such that they won't be able to put in the extra effort, right? So it all boils down to your mindset ultimately. And if you want to be living the life that you want and to be living a charged sort of life, then you need to start managing your mind and managing it properly, coming at the things that you want to do with the right sort of mindset, then you have the energy to do it. There are some days I actually don't feel like I've put in 70 hours of work into my life. There are some weeks I don't actually feel that. It just, to me, it doesn't feel like it, right? Because for me, I manage my mind and I don't allow my mind to just wander off and come up with too much resistance such that I'm not able to just motivate myself and get to the things I want to do, right? So those are a few things I want to talk about here. And lastly, in this video, I'm going to give you some practical ways, just one practical way in which I use it and I implement it in my life to make sure that I stay on track and then I stay on the proper mindset here. So the practical tool here is the awareness. So whenever I'm doing something, I always kind of watch myself thinking about something that I want to do, right? And I observe myself really kind of going through activities. And whenever there's a need for me to start feeling that resistance, I just really check myself and then get right and put my mind in the right place. Then I can, course correct it. So you get good at it every single time as you, implement this more and more in your life, such that, when you feel resistance towards doing something, you can just check with yourself and say, okay, well, I'm feeling resistance, but I know this is absolutely something I want to do. So I'm going to move on with it anyway. So those are really the way I get myself to do the things I want to do in my life. And, I'm quite content with that. And, it definitely served me in so many ways. So that's why I recommend ultimately for you guys. All right, that's it for this video. Leave me a comment down below. I'm going to leave my email address so that you could contact me if you have any questions around this. All right, that's it, guys. See you. Bye.